Good afternoon and welcome to Another Level with BP. My name is Brian Peay. I am your host and I'm very excited today because this is our first episode of many. Another Level with BP, where it's all positive vibes. I have three amazing guests here, and these are three kings, and I'm going to let you know how we all are related today. And well, we're just going to educate, empower, and equip everyone with more of the essentials needed to live a life of progress, growth, and increase. First guest today is my man, Mr. Mario D. King. Welcome to the show, Mario.
Thank you, brother.
Mario was born in Memphis, Tennessee. Mario's an author of Low Rain and Where to Go From Here series with Jay Henderson, right?
Correct.
In addition, Mario is also the founder and CEO, Ebullient, and let me know if I'm pronouncing this right.
No, you're right.
Ebullient or Ebullient?
Ebullient.
Ebullient Insurance Agency, so
Correct.
you know your stuff. Welcome to the show, Mario.
Thank you,
Thanks
brother.
for joining. And also with me today in the studio is Mr. Johnnie Davis. Johnny's the author of I'm Still Here, From Heart Failure to Heart of a Champion, where he discusses where he died for 16 minutes in sudden cardiac arrest. John is a board member of the Sudden Cardiac Arrest Foundation, founder and owner of DGE Insurance Group in Charlotte, North Carolina, where he works extensively to help increase awareness about the risk factors of heart disease and sudden cardiac arrest. John is also a husband, father, and personal business development coach. Welcome to the show today, Johnny.
Thank you, sir. Honored to be here.
Thank you, sir. And last but not least is my man, Mr. Eddie D. Love, and that is his real name, by the way, the millennial influencer. Eddie's a certified professional life coach, founder of the Black Charlotte Business Coalition. His company, Fresh Start Coaching, focuses on helping individuals improve their mindset, leadership, and relationships. He's partnered with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the Optimist Club International, Evolve Incorporated, Project Bridge, and contributed in Pride Magazine. He currently serves on the Chairman's Advisory Council for the Institute for the Development of Young Leaders of Durham, North Carolina. Eddie and his wife, Shapira, they both serve on the board of sickle cell anemia. They're advocates of sickle cell anemia, and they serve on the board of Sickle Cell Partners of the Carolinas, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Welcome to the show today, Eddie.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did say we have three kings here today, but I'm going to start with King Eddie on the end because we're all royalty, whether you know it or not. We come from royalty, and that's what we are. Eddie.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people don't know me and yourself. We worked together years ago.
Yep.
At corporate America. What, about 4 or 5 years?
Over 5. It was over 5 for sure. But
and you left
good times. Good times.
Yeah, absolutely. Eddie left because he went to another level. He found something better, much better, which has worked out for you and your family, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me about your book that you wrote.
So I wrote 2 books. So the first book was published in 2015, Escape from Poverty, 28 Ways to Win at Life, which is a personal development, self-help book.
Yes.
And then I wrote Let's Talk About Love, the blog book, which was a collection of different articles that I had written for a relationship magazine called Real Black Love. And I turned a lot of those articles into chapters of the book. So my 2 books are on Amazon. You know, you can get them on my website. But both books about, you know, who we are as people, relationships, self-love, mindset. That's a lot of things that I focus on.
Okay, excellent. I love it, man. Another thing, what is Fresh Start Coaching?
Fresh Start Coaching.
And I'm sorry to cut you, but were you doing that while we were working together, or you just started it?
I had a different company at that time. Yeah. I had started my first company in 2014. I started a company called Here Are Winners United when we worked together. But yeah. I started Fresh Start Coaching 2 years ago, which is a life coaching company that partners with individuals and businesses to help improve their mindset, leadership skills, and relationship skills. And that relationships being intimate relationships, and then also, you know, the networking, social relationship aspect of it as well. So
okay, good. Thanks for that, sir.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to my man, Mr. Mario.
Yes, sir.
Mario D. King. King, you already got King.
He's literally a king.
You're literally a king, for real. What's going on with now, Mario? You got about
6,
10 books or something?
Yeah, six. Got books. 6 out.
Okay, tell me about
Yeah, so you could basically take everything Eddie just said
Yeah.
and just put it in a novel format. So I do a lot of fiction stories just based on the culture, and a lot of it is predominantly built around. I'm from Memphis, so a lot of my tales is from that area, about that time period of me growing up.
So you're not from Charlotte?
I'm not from Charlotte. But I am now. You know, I've been here since 2008.
Well, nobody's perfect. I'm sorry. Nobody's perfect. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. So yeah, so my love for writing started, you know, at a very young age. I always been like a artistic kind of person. And, you know, I always like Spike Lee was my favorite director, and I loved the love that he had for, you know, Brooklyn. So I said if I ever was to tap into that space, whether it was doing movies or writing, I had to make Memphis the centerpiece of my creativity. And within storytelling, man, you could talk about relationships, you could talk about the cultural issues, social, economic issues. And I do that in a creative way because a lot of people, sometimes you have to spoon feed them the information with a little entertainment mixed in.
You can't give it all to me at one time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just love to create stories. So that's
okay.
It.
So you got a creative mindset, just like, I mean, you have to when you're a writer.
That's it. That's it.
Right. You have to, and you gotta keep that flow going. You know what I'm saying? And thanks a lot, Mario. My man, Mr. Johnnie Davis, author of I'm Still Here, From Heart Failure to Heart of a Champion.
Yes.
All right, now, Johnny, this is sensitive topic because, you know, it was a life or death situation for you, right?
Absolutely.
Tell us about your book and what inspired you. We know, but tell my audience that don't know.
The book chronicles a 10-year period of my life in which I talk about surviving heart failure, which actually led to me having sudden cardiac arrest, in which my heart stopped for over 16 minutes and I was clinically dead. So I am the modern day Lazarus.
Right.
And on the second day, Johnny rose. But with all jokes aside, I talk about surviving sudden cardiac arrest and the aftermath of dealing with that, rebuilding myself, reinventing myself, because there's so much that happens when you go through a situation like that. And it's not just myself, but my wife and my family members and so on and so forth. So there's a lot wrapped into that book. There's a lot of personal development, and there's some serious life lessons that you can apply to pull yourself out of the abyss of depression or whatever situation that you might be dealing with from an emotional standpoint.
Right.
You can apply those principles to really bounce back and put yourself back on track.
Okay, now, John, you about to change the whole dynamic of the show now. So it's about to be a health show for men. But you know, it's nothing wrong with it. We need this. So when you saying your heart stopped for 16 minutes.
Over 16 minutes, yes.
So did they declare you brain dead or anything?
I wasn't brain dead. I was dead, but I still had brain activity. But they weren't sure if I was actually going to survive or not, because there was so much time that elapsed without me having any oxygen to the brain. And so when you're I don't know if you know anything about your brain being deficient of oxygen, but over 4 minutes, your brain starts to die. So there was a period of 16 minutes, which I had nothing other than my wife administering CPR, the firemen, and so on and so forth. So on that day it occurred, they told my wife that more than likely I probably wouldn't survive. And if I did survive, that I would be a vegetable, because there was just so much time that elapsed without me having that oxygen. So it was a very touch and go situation. And, you know, it was one of those situations where it was just up to the good Lord to step in after everyone had, they did their part. Absolutely. Everyone that was involved did their part. And then once they did everything they could do, God took over and said, I'll do the rest.
It was all in his hands at that point.
Absolutely.
And it just was not your turn.
Exactly.
Basically. So let me ask you this also. So you were not conscious, of course. Could you hear? I don't know. You couldn't hear, or you couldn't feel, or you just were out of it, completely out of it.
That was done. Yeah. There was, I don't know how deep you want to go into this hole.
That's what I said. You just changed. Go ahead.
Okay, so when I was actually in a coma.
Yeah.
And while I was in a coma, my wife, she shared with me that she was whispering in my ear, telling me that, you know, we love you, come back, we need you, and all of these different things. And of course, I told her, I said, babe, I didn't hear anything you said. And in fact, I was outside of my body at one point, and I was my spirit was conscious of where I was, and I actually saw myself lying in the bed. And I told her, I said, you know, not only did I not hear anything, I didn't want to come back.
Wow.
And where I was, I felt complete love. I was enveloped by a perfect love, a perfect peace and calm. And I didn't miss anything that was on this side of the plane. So my perspective on what life is completely different. We are truly spiritual beings having a human experience. Right.
So
so it just totally just transformed everything in terms of how I see life.
So that was a true out-of-body experience.
True out-of-body experience.
So you outside, you could see your physical body laying there.
Yes. And I was conscious of the fact that I wasn't there, and I didn't feel anything. So I didn't feel any pain. I felt love. Like I said, I was like a newborn would feel in the arms of his mother for the first time. Okay. I just felt enveloped with that. So I didn't want to, that was my experience. I didn't want to necessarily come back on this side of the plane.
And all of this because of your heart.
Oh yeah.
Your heart. Yeah. And as men, well, all of us, and we were speaking about this earlier, you can go for a physical every year. Mm-hmm. But they don't check your heart, right?
Not unless you request it.
Not unless you request it. I had a situation last year when I was going to my primary. I couldn't find out why my blood pressure stayed elevated. Mm-hmm. My primary sent me to a cardiologist. Cardiologist sent me to a endocrinologist. Endocrinologist sent me to a nephrologist. I didn't even know what a nephrologist was at that time. I'm like, what's going on with all these ologists? All I know, I keep building bills. Thank God for good insurance. But they found out that one of my, I get kind of emotional, but I didn't want the show to go this way. 2 of the adrenal glands. You have 2 adrenal glands over each kidney. And one was producing too much aldosterone, which was keeping my blood pressure high. Mm-hmm. So finally, after going through so many tests, I've been stuck so much in this arm in the hand. I got stuck 7 times in 2 days where they couldn't find the vein. Three times in one day, 4 times in the next day. So they finally got some blood. I don't have no blood left. They took it all. But I'm saying that to say, I too had an experience, not an out of body experience, but as men, it's very responsible that we go get checked out.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't even say just an annual basis. Mm-hmm. So you had an out of body experience, and so you're walking testimony.
Mm-hmm. Oh, 100%. 100%.
Wow. And for my studio audience, just to let you know that these are just 3 of the authors that's going to be a part of the Black Writers Matter Author Showcase on February the 24th. It's going to be at 3400 Beatties Ford Road in Charlotte, North Carolina from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And we have another one. He could not make it in the studio today, but he's going to be with us on February the 24th. And we're going to hear some more from them. But I want to hear a little bit more from Eddie. Eddie right now John, like I said, Johnnie just changed the whole dynamic of the whole show.
Hey, but he's an inspiration.
Thanks a lot, Johnnie. But it's a good thing. This is a good conversation. We need this, right? True
inspiration, man. Kudos to you, man. I'm happy and honored to be sitting here next to Johnnie. So, definitely inspired by your story.
So Mario.
Yes, sir.
Mario, you have an insurance agency and you
Correct.
wrote 6 books. And how do you balance? Do you know what balance? Look, do any of us know what balance is from them?
That's always a battle, for me as far as how do you balance the time of business, family, friendships, and all of the above. Mm-hmm. I think what works for me is my organization. Like I always try to, I'm a planner. Yeah. So, if I know what I'm going into the week, I always carve out time before I start anything. First time for myself. What am I doing time with my family? And then the business come last. I think when you put those principles in perspective and you work it in that triangle way, it's always going to be a burden, but it's not going to be as burdensome. Like me and Eddie talk all the time about how do we sustain and balance. And that's one thing that I respect about him is he put family first. A lot of people not going to respect it. You go lose some friends, when you be selfish with your time with not only yourself and your family. But I know it's a means to an end for me. I know it works for me, so that's how I work it.
Absolutely.
That's it. At the end of the day, you got to go home.
You
got to go to home to them.
100%.
Or your friends.
Yeah. So you know who coming first.
That part right there.
That's it.
Priorities.
Priorities.
Right?
That's what it's, like you said. It's about prioritizing your time, man. You know, you got God, wife, if you have a wife, family, and then everything else. But in that order, same thing. I agree.
But if you do struggle with time management, there's a book called Essentialism. I can't think of the author's name, but he do give you some great perspective of how do you shift that balance and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the name of it again?
Essentialism. The art of doing less.
Okay, and I'm gonna get back to Johnny, and I'm not gonna ask you about it again because this is Sunday, I might go get the tambourines out the truck, about to have church up here.
Pass the last plate around there.
Oh, we gotta take them off. We gotta take them off, and eat fried chicken and potato salad after service. You know how it is. But Johnny, and how long ago was this? This was 2000s, 1990s, or?
No, this was actually Christmas Eve of 2012.
Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve, 2012.
So you were home.
Home.
Did you collapse or anything that you can remember? Or
no, we were actually sleeping. We were lying in bed, sleep. And give you a tidbit. So we were actually cuddled together like this. So she said that I started convulsing at 3:00. And she thought I was having a bad dream.
Yeah.
So she's calling my name, Johnny, wake up, wake up, wake up. And she noticed I did not respond. And so she turned on the lights and she saw my eyes rolling in the back of my head. And so she immediately called 911. So she didn't panic and run out of the house like most people would have done and say, oh, my heart, help, my husband's having a heart attack.
My husband's sick,
She immediately called 911.
Right.
And they told her what to do as far as how to administer CPR.
Okay.
So she started doing CPR on me in the bed. Now, when you're doing CPR on someone, they should be on the floor.
On a flat surface.
But she couldn't lift me, 220 pounds. So she couldn't lift me up and place me on the floor to begin doing CPR.
So she did what she could do.
She did what she can do until the firemen came.
Okay.
So when the firemen arrived, there was 4 of them. She got off me, left me to open the door to let the firemen in.
Right.
And they took over from where she left off. And it was, each one of them did 300 chest compressions on me for a total of 1,200 chest compressions. And I was shocked 6 times with the defibrillator.
At home? This before you got to the hospital?
Yeah, this is all at home. So it was on the 6th time that I started to breathe again.
Okay.
But I never regained consciousness. And so coincidentally, my birthday is on the 6th.
Okay.
So it was something about the number 6. If they would have stopped at 5, I wouldn't be here today.
Wow.
So on number 6, 6th shock, I'm here.
Man.
Wow. And you here to tell this story again, and
as much as you'll let me tell you.
Hey, we can sit here all day and tell it. We can sit here. Like, this is helping me. This is helping the other guys. This is helping the studio audience as well. And it's all about it's life or death, like you said.
Absolutely.
And we only pass through here one time. It's not like we get another chance. If it is, we're not guaranteed another chance to come back through here and do it again. But Eddie, what is your take on the health crisis, man, especially among black men, us?
I think a lot of it stems from like a lot of what I talk about in Escape from Poverty is when you look at the median household income, for African Americans. And I won't get into statistics because we know, a lot of that's changed, especially since the past 10 years. But when it comes to finances, that shapes a lot of how we talk about health. That shapes a lot of what we eat. That shapes a lot of, where we vacation, where we travel to, all those different things. And I think with African Americans, when you look at the history of us being locked out of wealth generation for hundreds of years, when you think about 1619 Jamestown, Virginia, when we first arrived here to 1860, 65, 63, emancipation.
Yeah.
And then another years of being locked out of wealth generation going into the 50s, right? Or the start of the civil rights movement. So all that time being locked out of wealth generations, you're just not having these conversations about health. about finances, about our future, about savings, investments, generational wealth, a lot of what we've been talking about, financial literacy, because you just don't have a means to do that. So I think a lot of it calls for us, especially as Black men, leading our family, leading our communities, to lead by example. Because a lot of what we've all talked about even prior to taping is going to the doctor. The importance of getting insurance, life insurance, health insurance, having your home insured. These are conversations that I have now and have had for several years, especially since I started helping other people get to the promised land, which is that information, getting that knowledge of who you are as a person. So again, examining what's happened to us as a whole for hundreds of years, what's going on right now. When we look at society, when we look at the impacts of social media can be a very toxic or unhealthy place.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
absolutely.
So it's not just physical health that we have to look at. We have to look at financial health. We have to look at mental health and a lot of other things that has come up here. These are a lot of the reasons why we have the health crisis. And again, us as Black men, as husbands, as fathers, I think leading that charge and being who we are to our families, and leading by example is helping to kind of change that narrative.
Wow.
And having conversations like this, having platforms like this. So I thank you for even asking that question.
Yeah. And I like to just to add to that. You said a lot. You said a mouthful. You mentioned mental health too. That's why you have coaches like yourself.
Coaches, therapists, all of them. Anybody in the mental health space, because a coach is not a therapist. And I have to make sure I say that and use that disclaimer on my website when I'm interacting with customers, because you typically get into mental illness or diagnosis, prescriptions and things like that when it comes to therapy. Coaches use a lot of the same techniques or similar techniques. However, I have to make sure I draw that line in the sand and say
that disclaimer.
Right.
You don't want to misrepresent yourself.
Exactly. But I have a black book of therapists and mental health professionals that I can refer you to at any time.
And so you do have a network, just like we're building here. We're building a network as well. And I saw a post last week. I don't remember who it was. He said the video said the guy said, black gentleman, a man of color. He said check the happiest man in the room. The one that's always uplifting everybody else. The one that's the class clown. The one that's keeping everybody happy. The go-to. The one that always talks everybody else off the ledge. He said, check on them. Ask them, how you doing? No, how are you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because odds are that might be a big mask.
A mask, right.
They can turn it off and turn it on. Check on that person, and we never know. And 9 times out of 10, us as black men, we don't go to therapy. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. We don't go to therapy. Oh, I got this. I'm strong, because of the dynamic and the stigma. That we speaking about it earlier. We were born like that. We were raised like that.
Being marginalized. I mean, and when you think about what's happened and even how we go about ourselves these days, we all wear masks. We wear a lot of masks. And our families are so used to masking things. And we were talking about it earlier with the health thing. A lot of black men, when you got sick, or the motto was, if it ain't bleeding, it ain't broke.
That's
right. So I'm not gonna go to the doctor and get this checked out until it becomes serious. And you in a situation, like with Johnnie, his situation was totally different though, and that's why I'm amazed by his story, because he was picture of perfect health. Young guy in his prime. Healthy. Eating right, don't smoke, don't drink.
He wasn't obese. Right? You were not used to average height and weight.
And it wasn't even hereditary, right? If I'm not mistaken. But again, just certain conversations like this, I just think it's very important to talk about this type of stuff.
What's your take on that, Mario?
I agree with Eddie 100%. A lot of it is, the reasons why we don't go is fear is one, lack of resources, and just the educational component of it. Because you do have people, if they need to go to the doctor, they can't afford it. You know, so how do you get the help you need if you lack those resources?
I ain't got no insurance.
Absolutely.
My job ain't gonna pay for the therapist.
And this is another thing we talked about, you know, earlier at the table, is being educated on how to utilize insurance when it comes to those things. But the second piece I want to speak of, just the mental health, you know, aspect. You know, Eddie is 100% right as far as social media, what it's doing to this next generation that's coming up. You know how a lot of people dealing with that anxiety, depression, coming through COVID, you know, losing 3 years of schooling, the social distancing and all of that. Even myself, you know, I was impacted, you know, for a little bit because, you know, I'm an energy person. So when you sitting in the house all day, even though you're still working, making money, when you lose that connectivity with people, you can lose yourself in the process. And speaking of therapy, you know, that was one of the things that I wanted to do. And that's what I did in the latter part of last year. I got me a therapist, because a lot of time as Black men, we keep a lot of this stuff in, and we may talk to each other amongst our circle. But when you talk to that third party who's not biased and who's going to tell you that 100% truth,
they're trained for that.
Absolutely.
They're trained to listen to our problems, our issues.
And it works, you know, and I get that through the insurance that I got.
Yeah, they got the couch and the box of tissue.
So I'm an advocate for all of that. So.
Yeah. And to add to that, they're trained to understand or to hear what you're not saying, right?
Fact.
Because of the mask,
right?
Because of the stigma, or I'm still trying to make myself look good or look cool when I need to be vulnerable right now and transparent, right?
Correct.
So kudos to you, brother.
And even if we do go, in some cases, we may still go in there, like you said, and try to hold back,
right?
Instead of pouring it all out. Even though that's what you're there for, to pour it all out. That's what they get paid for. That's what they're trained for. That's their licenses for. Yeah. Still going in and try to hold back. But like you said, Eddie, they know how to probe and pull it out of it. They can see what we're not saying too.
But you know, the cool part about it is once you go from there, now you're more open to the people that's around you. Yeah. So you wear that mask a little bit less because you become more vulnerable and you become your authentic self.
Yeah. So, and it's really responsible, and I give kudos to any man who's the leader of his household, because we set the whole tone.
100%.
We set the whole, whether we realize or not, we set the tone in our household. And if the head is not right, the body's not going to be right.
Correct.
And whether you see it or not, you don't have to be a therapist to see that.
No.
But what's the biggest life challenge that you've been faced with? Whether personal, professional, and I'm not saying go all into your business.
Yeah, it's fine.
You ain't got to get to the nitty gritty, and
No, because I can get straight to it. It's a good question, and I know exactly what it is. The biggest life challenge for me is seeing my daughter, who's 11 years old, go through sickle cell anemia. I know a lot of people there's a stigma around sickle cell because it's one of those diseases that it's like one of those silent things, right? You won't know a person has it until they're down, right? She can run faster than anybody, jump higher than anybody. But one of the things that it has done over these years is forced my wife and I to become a lot more in sync. We have a lot more intimate relationship, and even my daughter, her being the only child, but seeing her battle that and seeing her go through that, it's one of the toughest, hardest, most difficult things I've ever faced. Being in the hospital overnight, seeing her have multiple blood transfusions, right? And when she can be perfectly normal and then go down for 7 days where she can't even walk. So seeing the resilience of this person go through that, and the way my wife and I raise her, we still raise her to be, as competitive, mentally, physically, strong. She doesn't ask for handouts, doesn't take plays off. But again, it's a very difficult thing for me as a father to not be able to take that pain and go through that for her. I want to be in the hospital bed or hooked up to them IVs or getting poked.
We'll take it. We'll take it for her.
I will, man, if I could. But one of the good things that just one of the good revelations that just happened this year is there are two new gene therapies that have been approved by the FDA.
Okay.
Now
good.
they cost $2.2 million. So I'm going to be working on fundraising for that $2.2 million.
You need to sell some more books.
So buy some books, get some coaching. But
he got me in Trump.
It lets me know that there's light at the end of the tunnel. But again, as a parent, it's just tough to see your child go through something and you not be able to just take it away and fix it and solve it.
And also, as the head, the father, you can't show all of your emotion.
I mean, for
cases.
me, honestly, because we have an intimate relationship and my wife and I are actually friends and I can express myself.
That's good.
Can truly, express myself. Now, if I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to make myself cry. However, I'm able to identify what emotion I am feeling, whether it's frustration, apprehension, confusion. We talk these things through, and we're teaching my daughter how to do that as well. Communicate how you're feeling, right? Because it's more than just happy and sad and mad. So honestly, it's not really even about me, and I don't get so caught up in how I feel. I just focus on the solution, right? And that's my daughter getting well, her getting better, and we keep her moving forward. We keep her optimistic. And that's why I said she's the strongest person I know, but it makes me stronger as a husband, as a father, because I have to set a tone for how to be, I won't say cool, calm, and collected at all time. However, how to be emotionally intelligent. So we are teaching her that, and that's something I work with my clients on a lot with my coaching program, is how to be self-aware and socially aware, right? How I'm feeling. First, let me identify how I'm feeling, right? And what are my boundaries, and how am I impacting the world or the environment that I'm walking into? So for me, I don't get so caught up in my feelings because, again, I'm focusing on the big picture, and that's just being strong, man. And that's trickled down, and that energy carries throughout my family and throughout how we go about our interactions with the world.
Wow. So you and your wife have educated yourselves.
Absolutely. And that's why we're on the front lines with sickle cell. Like being on the front lines of Sickle Cell Partners has helped my daughter in a network, not only in the educational space, keeping her educated to where she can explain to the doctors what's going on. See, now we go to doctor visits, and I'm one of those fathers. I'm at the doctor visits from day one when my daughter was born. I'm there. I was in the hospital, cut the cord, right? Because I didn't see that dynamic growing up, in our household. But I think it's very, very important just to be present. That's one of the ways that you set the tone in your household as a father, is you be present. Go to the school and see what the teachers are doing and what they're saying or not saying, or if your child's really telling the truth, right, about what they say happened at school, right?
No, they tell the truth all the time, man.
So be present.
All the time.
They're always right. But no, be present, being present, man. That's one of the ways I set the tone.
Absolutely.
Man, just being present.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Eddie.
Like that.
We are about to wrap this up, and I hate to end it right here, gentlemen, but just to let everyone know again, these are just three of the kings that are going to be joining us on February the 24th. Black Writers Matter, Author Showcase, 3400 Beatty-Ford Road. Go to Eventbrite and go ahead and register. It's free, all caps. You don't have to pay anything. We have vendors, we have on networking. We're going to have a panel discussion. You're going to hear more from these three and another one. Mr. Aaron Wood, he's going to be there also. And I just want to thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining me today.
Thank you.
My very first episode, another level with BP on Fam Plus, RokuTV. See us soon, please.